Hello, Florida Southern Moccasins, and welcome to week 5 of esports business models and trends. This week, I think, will be especially pertinent to all of you because we're going to be talking about the business of esports as it relates to colleges and universities, in addition to a whole slew of other particular issues. So without further ado, let me share my screen and let's get started. Okay, so after attending the lecture, et cetera, here's what I hope you get. That you possess an aggregate understanding of various governing bodies seeking to regulate the esports industry. This is not something that normally comes to mind when we're talking about esports and thinking about business, but as you're going to see, it's a growing and essential component of the industry. We're going to be talking about professional college and university esports governance, because governance is done by governing bodies, and those bodies have paid employees, and their subsistence is done by dues that are received, which means we also have to delve into the dynamic of K through 12 esports. We'll touch upon the enticement of esports because it is very much an easy to learn but hard to master underlying principle. Appreciate the concerns associated with previous cheating scandals in esports. Yes, we do have a history of cheating scandals, and we're going to touch upon how those occur. And we'll appreciate the challenge faced by esports when it comes to its inclusion in the Olympic Games. I mean, right now we've got sort of parallel Olympic Games that occur. We're going to be talking about the World Esports Association, ESL, the Esports League, the Korean Esports Association, NACE, HSEL, and an interesting development, the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association, and something called the Esports Integrity Coalition. Notice, in fact, that the last slide we were talking about cheating, and now we have an Esports Integrity Coalition. So you can start to see the importance and the dynamic and the reaction of what's going on here. So let's start with WESA, okay, the World Esports Association. Governance. Anytime you have a business, that business operates within some form of governance. If it's a retail outlet, it's the governance of the federal income tax, the state income tax, the state taxing organizations, a host of municipal rules and regulations. And so all of this is normal in the course of business, but not so normal when it comes to esports. So as a result, we have found a select group of teams, right? Esports corporations, you can see them here, Team Envious, Fnatic, Ninjas in Pajamas, G2, FaZe Clan, that originally banded together to create an internal governance organization. And even that, as well-intentioned as it was, it had some issues. So it began in 2016, but already after a year of development, it was founded by ESL and many other sports teams, but its purpose was to set rules and regulations for esports, right? So far, so good. However, FaZe Clan, which has been in the news a lot lately, dropped out of the organization just a day after it was unveiled. Why? Due to fears of being locked in an exclusivity contract limiting the tournament teams could play in. So even here we have an instance of well-intentioned, well-mannered group of professional esports organizations banding together to say, look, we need to clean up our act and agree to certain rules and regulations. And one day after its development, FaZe Clan says, you know what, we're out because we might find that this imposes constraints on our ability to do business, which is a euphemism for our ability to raise money. And as we see with FaZe Clan, this has become a major issue, right? Now I want to talk about KESPA. KESPA is the Korean Esports Association. This is a governing body unlike any other governing body. Why? It was founded in the year 2000 after the approval of the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. So right there, what do we see? A government organization, the Korean government Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. They realized even then that the goal was to make esports an official sporting event. We're talking the year 2000, before many of you were even born, okay? And the intent is to solidify the commercial position of esports in all sectors as it relates to Korea. Now, what does KESPA do? It manages the broadcasting of esports, the formation of new events, and the conditions in which pro gamers work, as well as to encourage the playing of video games by the general population. Now, this is in stark contrast to Korean colleges and universities, which are like, we don't want you playing video games and we don't want you doing esports because we want you studying calculus and advanced math and data analytics and all of that. But the government of Korea realized that there's prestige and money to be earned from this new sport. Now let's take a look at ESL, the Electronic Sports League, which frankly could be called the E squared SL because it's a European esports league. Let's delve into that. It's a German esports organizer and production company that produces video game competitions worldwide. So it's also called a TO, a tournament organizer. It was the world's largest esports company when it was founded in 2015. It's no longer that, but it is the oldest that is still operational if we don't look at KESPA, okay? You can see the myopia of a lot of these organizations. Now, ES Play is an esports platform that provides tournaments and ladders, ranking ladders, across all games and skill levels. It's known very much for ESL Open, which was the first cup on the league ladder. It's open to everyone, including beginners, right? Now, the ESL Major, these competitions have entry requirements, and winning on this level is required to earn a spot in the ESL Pro competition. So we could say it's very Germanic in its organization, right? There's the ESL Open, there's the ESL Major, and then there's the ESL Pro. And all of this is designed to categorize and reward expertise in esports. Now, let's take a look at something that was founded by the players, right? Not even the teams, the players. And that's the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association. What is that? It is the worldwide representative association for professional Counter-Strike CSGO players. You could almost say that it's a self-generated union of sorts representing CSGO players. Now, why was it perceived to be necessary to found this? Well, it aims to safeguard, protect, and promote professional Counter-Strike players' interests both during and after their active career. We've got to pay attention to after their active career, because one of the biggest issues confronting a lot of our population is, what are you doing in terms of retirement, savings for retirement? What are you doing in terms of health benefits? What are you doing in terms of a 401k, some sort of Roth IRA, something that is putting money aside for your later years and all that? You know, it always used to be that you joined a union. The union would ultimately have a pension plan if you were vetted, meaning if you had worked a certain number of years and was in good standing, so that when you retired, you got this pension. The United States military has a very good one. You put in 20 years in the service and you will get half of whatever your final salary was when you were in the service as a pension for the rest of your life, okay? That's why, you know, my father after World War II was like, the stupidest thing I ever did was get out of the service. My brother in the 70s, when he was active duty Navy and got out and ultimately was like, you know what, I should have stayed in. Ultimately, he went to the reserves and got a pension, but nowhere near what that pension would have been if he had stayed in. And I did 6 years in Air Force Reserve. I don't get a pension, okay? I don't get a pension, which is understandable. I knew that going in, okay? Now, the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association is managed by its own board of players. And these players are elected by the membership each year on the Counter-Strike Professional Players Association General Assembly. They do not get paid, all right, but they are there to make sure that players of this incredible game are indeed taken care of and are indeed taught how to look after their well-being after their professional careers are done. Okay, now we're going to focus very much now on North America. And when we take a look at the esports market snapshot for North America, we can see that it held a significant market share of greater than 35% of global esports in 2021. So, we're talking significant dollars here. More importantly, we're still looking at a market growth projected from 2022 to 2028 of 22.5%. I'm going to knock on wood here because I wish that were the case. I'm not sure it's going to be that much, but it will continue to grow. But its market size as of 2028 is projected to be $9.1 billion. I don't know, if you're like me, I'd like a piece of $9.1 billion, okay? And again, the dominant revenue types are sponsorships. And we've talked about sponsorships, meaning branding, target audience, offline media, as well as online media. But let's delve more deeply into the business model that we find in North American esports, okay? And to do that, we need to dig deeper, and we need to dig into high schools. And this is going to become very clear as we go on, because what's unique about North America is the connection between esports and higher education in the form of colleges and universities. Already, there are issues about the transformation of a high school athlete to professional. We see here that on the aggregate, there are 2,240,461 high school athletes. That's a lot of young people playing sports. When we now get to the NCAA, all right, the official collegiate governing body of all sports throughout the United States, that drops to 105,532. You don't have to be a math whiz. Just look at the colors. Look at all this red and look at this red. And you can see why esports, as you could almost say, as an amorphous blob of red here, presents itself as another form of engagement for high schoolers who love to play competitive gaming, but who don't see themselves on the gridiron or the basketball court or the diamond. And that's why it's got such an appeal. Now, why are people in esports? Okay, what's the motivation? And when we're talking business, motivation to do something, it's hand in glove. Okay, it's hand in glove. So what are the motivations of esports players? 81%, it's real simple. They want to play their favorite game. Okay, that was an answer to the question, what do you like most about participating in collegiate esports? 81% to play my favorite games. Close behind that was to compete against others, right? Compete against my peers, compete against my peers in other schools, 78%. 77% was to connect with gamers and other like-minded people. You could almost say this is the tribal dynamic of esports, right? It's pretty much a tribe. And when we get, as you know, to the individual franchises, it becomes even more of a tribe. There's the CSGO tribe. There's the Minecraft tribe. There's the tribes. You got it, all right? 76%, they want to participate in a team-based activity, while 67%, still a good number, saying it's to represent my school. So what are we able to glean from this? We glean from this that there's a great deal of personal satisfaction and personal desire that is attached with esports, okay? Now let's delve even more deeply, because what we find among your generation is that you are less interested in most sports properties than the general public. Even the most popular one, the NFL, where most, say 60% of adults are interested in the NFL, really 49% of Gen Z. You beat them in terms of the NBA, 47% to 45%, much less in college football. Esports, you dominate, right? 35% there. my favorite sport, baseball, I'm losing you all, but maybe this year with the new rules and the time clock and all that, we'll be able to get that 32% up. But you can see here that your generation is a different generation. And frankly, it's one that I find very appealing. But let's delve deeper into the numbers, right? This is all data analytics when you get down to it. In 2021, 41.5% of video game players in the US were women, all right? The remaining 58.5% being male. While it is traditionally a hobby primarily enjoyed by male viewers, estimates suggest that 22% of esports fans worldwide are female. Growth, 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 okay? Now, since we're talking very much about governance and all that, we need to do a little bit of history. Let's talk about the saga of Blizzard and TESPA. Now, TESPA was originally the Texas Esports Association, okay? It was a statewide organization that was devoted to esports, right? TESPA experienced a serious national expansion in 2013 as a manner of support for many colleges trying to get into gaming and esports. But their biggest move occurred the next year in 2014 when they were approached by Blizzard to form a partnership. And as a result of that, collegiate esports grew thanks to this partnership. Now, with that in mind, TESPA closed. TESPA closed down in 2020. Now let's look at this very condensed time frame. 2013, let's go back. Right, 2013, it's really hitting its stride as a place for colleges to get together to talk about this esports phenomenon. 2014, Blizzard says, whoa, we want a part of this. We make the games, you promote the games. 6 years later, it's shut down. Why? According to a statement on the company website, the collegiate organization was retiring the TESPA brand and shifting its branding focus more on the game franchises than that its players are most excited for. TESPA was broadly based. I mean, basically any game that could be part of an esports tournament fell under its purview. But the publishers realized that, you know what? The interest in the particular game is from its particular players. So we don't really need an organization that is a shotgun approach. Rather, it is better for us to tie in the promotion of tournaments and levels and all that specifically with the game itself, right? Business decision. Okay. Now, by the way, this was an example of TESPA University, I think from Second Life and all that. It shows you how the mighty have fallen, so to speak, okay? Now I've got to talk about college athletics. Why? Because college athletics are big business, okay? All right? This slide is the United States of college football. I don't have to tell you about college football. It's a behemoth in and of itself, but it's a behemoth that the fledgling esports industry is like, how do we get in on this? How can we become as dominant as that is? And again, we go back to looking at the statistics about high school participants in a given sport combined with the NCAA participants, and we can see that the figures, the percentages that are able to move to Division I, Division II, or even Division III are minuscule, absolutely minuscule, which means there's a hunger, as we saw in those motivations, for more organized competition of games that young people like to play. Now, since colleges are a business, I know this is not going to shock you, right? Since colleges are a business, we need to take a look at what's in it for them. And primarily what's in it for them is enrollments, okay? Let's be blunt. It's about you matriculating in a particular college where one of the main reasons is because it is offering esports. So let's take a look at collegiate player academics, okay? What we're looking at here is when it comes to esports, engineering and computer science as well as math, science, and pre-med are the predominant majors of students who are interested in this. It then goes down to pre-law and business, humanities and social science, the creative arts and design are a pittance, right? Are a pittance. Now, the correlation between esports and college majors is more clearly explained in this chart. So what are we looking at? 52.60% of esports collegiate players, and this means in general, I don't just mean varsity, I mean in total, are involved in the sciences, okay? We have 13% are really, really focused on esports and gaming, right? They're pursuing either a business degree with a minor in esports, or they're hoping, in fact, to major in sports management with an emphasis on esports. You can see that it's a growing industry there, a growing major. The arts here is 13.30%. This is arts writ large, right? Design, architecture, drama, you name it. Business and finance, 11%. So when you think about a college and university that is getting into esports, to what degree are they strong in science? To what degree are they strong in business and finance? To what degree do they have an esports concentration, a major or minor or sports management? So you can see here the alignment between colleges, their raison d'etre, their reason for being, which is education, and how they're aligning that education with student interest in high school for esports. Okay, now let's take a look at collegiate varsity esports programs for colleges with varsity esports programs, okay? Why are colleges and universities getting into esports? And this is a business decision, a business consideration. This is not fluff. This goes to the heart of what's going on at Florida Southern, as well as the 240 other schools that are members of the National Association of Collegiate Esports. So why are they getting into it? Gamers gain useful skills from participating in esports. And with the belief and frankly, with the statistical validation that it helps students on their broader learning journey. Esports is an analytical problem-solving dynamic. All right. In fact, it's probably one of the best analytical problem-solving experiences and tests that you can have. It is very much a time management tool. And that's one of the things I love about the fact that esports games are short. They're short. You've got to manage your time better than ever. This is not, 90 minutes for a soccer game. This is not, 3 hours for a Major League Baseball game, which hopefully will be reduced, or 3 hours for a football game that in terms of the clock is supposed to be 1 hour, right? Esports is all about collaboration and teamwork. There's also no doubt that video games help improve visual perception. They enhance memory and can lead to better focus and attention. Now, this results in a physical dynamic in terms of building. So by building esports stadiums, which stream esports competitions on big screens for spectator viewing, universities can seek to monetize esports just like they have football through multiple streams of revenue. So as esports develops, and as these colleges and universities, as we see, start to invest more in not only esports facilities, but the profile of esports on their campuses, they're looking at potential revenue streams from ticket sales. Ticket sales to what? Ticket sales to the tournaments, merchandise sales, and lucrative TV or media deals. But most importantly, the reason this is all happening is student recruitment and retention. This is especially true of tuition-driven colleges and universities. If you're not aware of it, there are different types of colleges and universities in terms of their purpose for being there. For example, the school that I was a professor at for 31 years, Carnegie Mellon University, is a research university. right? It gets billions of dollars from various government as well as commercial enterprises to do research for the development of new technologies and new methodologies, okay? But a school like Florida Southern is really more of an educational institution. A school like Robert Morris University here in Pittsburgh, these are tuition-driven colleges and universities, which means the bulk of their funding comes from your tuition dollars. Now, of course, there are other streams of revenue. There are donations, there are bequests, there are property that is bought and sold. There's a host of other ways in which they generate revenue, but esports has risen to the rank that it has because it has become a way of recruiting students. Okay. Very often this is done despite existing governing organizations. Let's take a look at PAC-U Gaming, all right? College Esports Go West. PAC-U is made up of esports organizations from a network of public and private universities who make up the traditional NCAA Pac-12 conference. Why are they doing this themselves? Because the NCAA is not doing anything with esports. What does PAC-U Gaming do? They do a round-robin bracket, a format where every team plays all other participants in turn, just like in football. So no matter how many teams are playing, every team will play against each other. What does that mean? That means they get to tie into the traditional rivalries between, say, a University of Washington and a Berkeley, or between a UCLA or a USC and Arizona State, okay? Now, if there is an odd number of teams, one team gets a bye match every round, so every team will get a bye match. This format results in a ladder with each team's standings. So what we have found in the PAC-U, because remember, I teach at Arizona State as well, is that esports among PAC-U reflects and emanates from the traditional Pac-12 structure. Okay. The rise of esports and campus rec. The important word there is campus rec, because one of the big questions in terms of esports governance and business when it comes to colleges and universities is, where does esports reside? Okay. For many colleges and universities, it resides within the campus recreation. In other words, it's part of intramural. For example, at Robert Morris University here in Pittsburgh, it's under campus rec, okay? The study of esports is under business management. At other schools, esports is directly part of business administration. Now that could be sports management or it could be traditional business. At other colleges and universities, it is under student activities or student affairs. And all of this is not just names. All of this are various financial and organizational revenue streams and what have you. If it's under student activities, then you can anticipate that the esports team is being allocated a certain sum of money each year based upon the dues that are charged to students as part of their student activities fee. Okay, that's different than, say, a purely grassroots organization, such as at Carnegie Mellon, which only has student-led esports, where if they want to have pizza, they're paying for it themselves. So you can see how where esports is located within a college and university is extremely important. Which brings us to NACE, the National Association of Collegiate Esports. This is a nonprofit membership association that is organized by and on behalf of member institutions and is the largest association of college esports in North America. Together, NACE members are developing the structure and tools needed to advance collegiate esports in the varsity space. They are not able to decide and determine where the money is coming from in each particular university, but they can provide governance for how esports is run. Now, just a few years ago, there were under 200 colleges in NACE. As of today, NACE has 240 colleges and universities. They come together to collaborate to lay the groundwork in areas such as eligibility. For example, those 240 colleges and universities, they must have a varsity team. The path to graduation, are these matriculating students? Are they taking a full load? Competition and scholarships. And we're going to delve a little bit more deeply into how this is done. So the NACE represents the majority of varsity programs across North America. Is it the only one? No, but it is the major one. Florida Southern is a member of NACE. Now, what does it mean to be a member of NACE? Well, the last time I looked, it was $2,000. All right. So take 240 colleges and university times $2,000, and you can see the operating budget of NACE. NACE has an executive director. NACE has a growing staff paid for by these dues that are there to elaborate upon and to check on eligibility, graduation, competition, and scholarships. Okay, about NACE, and this states from August 11, 2022. NACE also puts on tournaments. Okay, it's in its interest to put on tournaments. So we have NACE Star League. That is the largest collegiate esports league in the world because it's collegiate and the US leads in colleges, right? In August of 2022, they announced a 3-year platform partnership with LeagueSpot to enable top-tier competition for almost 700 registered programs. LeagueSpot is a separate organization. It's the leader in safe and scalable esports experiences. So they have been hired to build NACE's Star League's online home, helping schools compete, communicate, and build community for their students. Why that? Because it is cheaper to hire a third party that has its own business structure than it is for NACE, despite that $2,000 dues from 240 colleges and universities, to try to do it on their own. Quote, the LeagueSpot team is thrilled to be selected as the technology provider for NACE Star League, and we'll be doubling down on our support and engagement in this program, said Andrew Barnett, LeagueSpot CEO. Building a long-term relationship with NACE Star League will allow us to build tools and technology that brings value to member schools that is unmatched in any other program in the industry. This is terrific. There's nothing new in this. Third-party tournament organizers have been around a while, some with much success and some with less than much success, okay? One of the best things that NACE has done is create what's called an intent to compete letter. Now, this laid the foundation for NACE's first eligibility enforcement committee. You know, many times we've talked about, Wild West with esports. Well, even the Wild West that you see on Westerns, if you even watch Westerns, where everybody's got a 6-gun and all that, it had to have law and order imposed upon it. Of course, now we're devolving to, you can carry on campus, you can carry all over, but I'll save that for later. Now, NACE is proceeding to build itself into an NCAA-like governing body, while distinguishing some of its policies from the often criticized practices of most college athletic associations. Now, with the NCAA tabling its exploration of competitive gaming, I've mentioned this to you before, Intersport did a big study, presented it to the NCAA, and the NCAA said, back, we don't want anything to do with this, all right? That allows NACE to remain the paramount, strongest voice in esports. Now, NACE governance, very important because this involves money. It allows schools to distribute prize money earned at third-party tournaments to their players, regardless of what kind of scholarship dollars a school provides its competitors. This is significant. This is money in your pocket. Let me read that again. It allows schools to distribute prize money that is earned at third-party tournaments to their players, regardless of what kind of scholarship dollars a school provides. Now, in other words, you may be getting a hefty scholarship from Florida Southern, but You're entered in a third-party competition. You do very well, win, play, show, and those dollars are yours. They cannot be acquired or counted by the university against your scholarship. Because what usually happens is, oh, look, you got all this external money. We're now going to reduce your scholarship. No, no, no. NACE also will not set any additional academic requirements of its own for the time being, instead deferring to what the institution requires of its traditional athletic programs as the standard for esports eligibility. Now, this has got to hit home to many of you, especially in the undergraduate section, who are athletes, okay? So if you're an athlete and you're also part of Florida Southern's esports, guess what? NACE is not going to impose any additional academic standards on you other than what Florida Southern is already imposing, which might be why some of you are very slow to turn in your assignments and even slower to join in the discussion. But I think I made my point, right? Okay. Now, the Collegiate Star League. The Collegiate Star League is different from the NACE Star League. And here are the power rankings for the League of Legends when it's part of the CSL. And one of the things I want to point out here is take a look at the schools that are involved. Right? Number one is that powerhouse, Bethany Lutheran College. I don't even know where that is, okay? Followed by UBC, I know where that is. The University of Toronto, all right, Collegiate Star League team. Harrisburg University, which I'm going to get into because I know them very well. All right, UCI, right, University of California, Irvine, all right, which I know very well. All right, and then good old, look, ASU is 8th there. Simon Fraser, which is BC. You can see here that this is an amalgam of colleges and universities that you're not going to find anywhere else, right? You're not going to find this in football. You're not going to, maybe soccer a little bit, maybe in lacrosse or what have you. But the fact of the matter is, there is a democratization when it comes to esports that is most welcome. I got my Starbucks here. Got to have my Starbucks. Decaf Grande Cappuccino. Although, let me tell you, they don't make a cappuccino like you make in Italy, okay? Okay, now let's talk about LeagueSpot. LeagueSpot is an online esports and gaming education platform that's dedicated to gamers. Important thing there, education platform. Its signature experience combines best-in-class tournament features with a virtual classroom solution built and branded to your specifications and protects every user through industry-leading data privacy and security bubble. What's the niche that they're trying to carve out? Esports and curriculum. Esports that is educational as well. Now, look at its market. LeagueSpot powers competitions for all ages across North America, including who? The YMCA, NACE Star League, which we saw, Playfly Esports, ECAC, and SUNY, tailoring technology and operation solutions to each client's unique needs. A third-party organizer that, we saw LeagueSpot with NACE, but that's not enough to keep LeagueSpot in business. So it grows its business, its demographic to include the YMCAs, to include Playfly, SUNY, State University of New York system, etc. Now, let's delve more deeply in this. Playfly Sports is a full-service sports marketing company operating where sports marketing, media, and technology converge. Now, Playfly Sports drives outcome-based solutions, this is their verbiage, obviously, for brands reaching approximately 83% of all U.S. sports fans, generating 230 billion impressions each year. That's called hyperbole, all right? They're not responsible for that. What they're saying is, look how big that market is. We're trying to carve out a niche there. Utilizing the influence and durability of local sports fandom, Playfly Sports exclusive rights in the NBA, NHL, MLB, NCAA, esports, and high school sectors drive value for our local, regional, and national brand partners. So what did Playfly do? Playfly sought the exclusive rights to these professional sports leagues to be able to promote them across the board. Okay? How does it do this? Through a multimedia and tech platform that drives innovation through scaled linear, digital, in-venue, and experiential marketing and engagement assets. What do they want to do? Playfly Sports wants to partner and innovate and advance your brand being a college, a university, or you name it. And you can visit Playfly Sports online at playfly.com and follow Playfly Sport. Yeah. Why am I giving this to you? Because you might want a job. Because you might say that I really love esports, but I don't see my future as a professional gamer. But I love this environment. I love the dynamism there. How else can I get involved in this? And it's through potentially third-party vendors in this space. Okay? I want you to get a job. Okay. Now let's talk about cheating. Yes, the CH word. What are some of the commonly cited cheating activities in esports? Number one are software cheats. These cheats come in the form of aimbots and wall hacks, okay? There's also the exploitation of bugs. This is why publishers have Q&A, right? Quality assurance. But I've been to many QA stables at publishers. And let me tell you, not the best and the brightest, okay? So when a bug is found that has slipped through Q&A, it's exploited, okay? There's also the use of performance-enhancing drugs, believe it or not, such as Ritalin and Adderall. You'll notice these are drugs used for attention deficit disorder. Well, I don't know whose brain is able to keep track of anywhere from 200 to 600 actions per minute, unless it was someone who could oversee, manage, and absorb multiple stimuli. Okay? Sometimes players are trying to do that even better using performance-enhancing drugs. There's also the age-old match fixing. All right? Have you ever heard about the Black Sox scandal of 1919, where the Chicago White Sox threw the World Series because they were going to get money individually from gangsters and all that? That's match fixing. Match fixing is, you want to know where match fixing is legal and promoted? WWE. Okay, World Wrestling Entertainment is nothing but nonstop match fixing. But it's match fixing for your entertainment. It's the villain winning this time so that the hero that lost now has revenge to win the next time. Okay? There's a group called Plitch, P-L-I-T-C-H. They showed that 57% of gamers polled said that they had used cheats before. Now, I'm not here to editorialize. I'm not here to moralize, but I'll be the first one to say that sometimes accessing a cheat in one of these forms is, in fact, a way for you to improve your indigenous, your intrinsic, your normal game. In other words, it's like, what did I miss? How did I not see that? And accessing a software cheat is really one of the ways to say, darn, why didn't I get that? I mean, I do something as simple as Wordscape, okay, Wordscape, sort of a mindless word game to prevent me from getting early Alzheimer's and all that. And there are times when I cheat, and it's like, Don, how could you not get this word? I mean, you look it up, you know, you do how many words can be made from these letters, and you're like, why did I not see that? So there is, in fact, some sort of educational dynamic there. Now, let's delve more deeply, though, into cheating in esports where it's not good, where you can't rationalize it away. Glitch is strictly a single-player cheat software that doesn't work on any online games, so they say. Plitch is built so that players can tailor their gaming experience to their preferences to get the most out of their single-player games. In other words, pay us and we'll teach you how to cheat in hopes of you becoming a better player. And it's only going to cost you $9.99 per month. So again, it showed that 57% of gamers said that they had used cheats before, and 37% of respondents said that they exclusively use cheats in single-player games to enhance their experience. I mean, have you ever played a game where you just got stuck, where you were like, why am I'm on an infinite loop here, okay? Now, let's talk about betting. Betting is something we don't touch upon. Why? I don't know. Sports betting is not rigged, but it is against your favor because of what's called the VIG. The VIG? Yeah. In order to make money, sports betting companies collect a commission on losing bets, which is called the VIG. This is to ensure a source of revenue. It can date back to horse racing. All right, when you place a $2 bet, okay, a portion, most of that money goes into the prize pool for the horses, but you skim off the top a portion to pay for the fact that you've got this facility, you've got its upkeep, you've got all sorts of overhead, you got F&B, food and beverage, and all that. So there's a VIG on everything. Sometimes the VIG is obvious. For example, when you buy a ticket to a game or to a concert or what have you, and all of a sudden there's a service charge. Okay, the service charge is basically a VIG that you see. Other times it's not seen, but it's skimmed off the top of whatever you're paying. Okay, now the other thing, esports at colleges and universities has become so big that the competition for really good players is hot. And that's what leads to scholarships. Scholarships. I have no idea how many of you at Florida Southern are on an esports scholarship or on a sports scholarship. And scholarships, I could spend a long time talking to you how scholarships are created and managed. But among colleges and universities in esports, the competition is ferocious. And let's take a look at scholarships in general. Esports scholarships awarded. Now, annually, the NCAA awards more than $2.9 billion in athletic scholarships to over 150,000 student athletes. Remember that original chart we showed about high school? And then there was a fraction for NCAA. It was about 150,000. Well, those 150,000 student athletes are getting basically $3 billion in scholarships. Now, students can receive financial aid in the following forms: a full ride scholarship or a partial scholarship. I can tell you right now that in esports, the last time I looked, only one school will give you a full ride esports scholarship, and that is Harrisburg University of Science and Technology, based in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Things might have changed, but if they have, I haven't heard, I haven't been alerted. Most of the time, you're getting a partial scholarship. So we can see here that for 2018-2019, esports scholarships amounted to $15 million. Let's say that now it's over $20 million. That's $20 million in esports scholarships compared to $3 billion in traditional NCAA students athlete scholarships. You can see we have a long way to go, but that's encouraging, okay? Now, big money gaming. There are 12 Big Ten schools that have club esports leagues in which they can give players scholarships. Each of the Big Ten schools give 6 total scholarships to players worth $5,000 each. Why is this significant? Because when you're talking about Big Ten schools, you're talking about schools that are part of the NCAA, which has basically been hands off when it comes to esports. But these NCAA schools have said, sorry, Charlie, we want to grow our esports profile and dominance, And so we're going to start giving significant scholarships of $5,000 each. Okay. Despite that, okay, despite those schools, if we were to take a look at rankings for the best colleges for esports, as done by, everything's in the eye of the beholder. This is a study done by the VG group. You will notice schools here that for the most part you have never heard of. Okay. Now, of course, you may have heard of University of Utah. You may have heard of Boise State, University of California, Irvine, but whether you've heard of Illinois Wesleyan or Maryville or Ashland University, this shows you how ripe the territory is for increased university profile thanks to esports. So let's take a look at some of these schools. The first one I'm going to show you is University of California, Irvine. This is their old esports facility. Now, the reason I want to present them first is because business models and trends, they're the poster child. When they started esports, Mark Deppy, who's at UCI, he went to the university administration and said, look, we have facilities that are being underutilized. Allow me to create an esports facility there and allow me to create an esports varsity team. At the same time, though, I want to create a university and a city center for young people that want to play esports. And what I'm going to do is charge them a certain fee to come in and play for a certain amount of time. And as a result of that, when that money comes in, those monies that are raised from external sources or from students who just want to play esports but are not part of University of California Anteater varsity esports, those monies will go back to the university. Basically, that'll be our rent. The first year they did this, University of California, Irvine returned $250,000 to the university administration. Now, one of the things that has not been said is all those machines that you see there were donated. Now, when UCI had to build out a bigger facility, they had to buy their machines. So I don't know what's going on now, but it's a brilliant idea. And in fact, when I consult and I talk to colleges and universities about starting esports, I will be like, well, to what degree do you want to be an urban or just community resource where, in fact, you can charge money to those who want to come in and play. They're coming to your campus, just like in a cinema, they're probably buying food and beverage from your facilities, and it's another revenue stream. Okay, now let's take a look at Akron. Akron is Akron, Ohio. Akron University has gone whole hog into esports, okay, to the point where they have 3 facilities on campus that are used for esports competitions. They're Akron Esports Varsity Staff. This isn't the team, this is the staff, okay? In other words, these are all paid positions to facilitate and oversee Akron esports through these many facilities. This is why colleges and universities are going to become and already are a prime hiring vehicle for esports, as well as to remain in the collegiate environment, right? I mean, when you think about it, I've never left colleges and I've never left colleges. And it's been a great life, okay? Now let's look at gaming at UC Berkeley, okay? UC Berkeley has a deal with NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA does the graphic cards and what have you. But even at UC Berkeley, which considers itself to be a research university, they have embraced gaming much more than, say, Carnegie Mellon has embraced gaming, okay? Now let's take it University of Texas, Dallas. This is significant because this university has tied itself in with Esports Stadium in Arlington, Texas, okay? You see the connection there? University of Texas, Dallas, it has its own facility on campus for its teams to play, its varsity teams, as well as its own students. But when it's competition time, when it's tournament time, they get to use the esports stadium in Arlington, Texas, right nearby. Pardon me. So immediately they are able to increase their profile in terms of esports, so that when they're there saying, hey, why don't you come to the University of Texas, Dallas to play esports? You will get to play in one of the finest esports arenas in the United States. You see the appeal? I do. Now let's take a look at Boise State University. Boise State has also gone big time into esports. One of the reasons is, you know where Boise State is? It's in Idaho. Okay, Idaho. All right, I'm a native New Yorker. I mean, for me, Idaho, it took years for me to find it on a map. Okay, so Boise is like, you know what? If we're going to compete with schools like Irvine or schools that are in the Sun Belt and all that, we need to offer them a better product. And that product comes in the form of facilities and attention, okay? So Boise State has gone, in fact, when they built their facility, they ended up being the largest one in the country. Here's an example of one of their tournament rooms, okay? Now let's take a look at this, the one university that was on that best esports colleges in the country, Ashland University in Ashland, Ohio. Huh? I mean, not to take anything away from Ashland University, but it's a small school. I mean, compare that to a Boise State, compare that to a University of Utah. And yet Ashland they put all their eggs in that basket, and the result has been a terrific, dynamic esports varsity team as well as education. Maryville University, St. Louis, Missouri, okay? Maryville, you may not have heard of it. It's got 12,000 students. It's large. And this is the Maryville facility for esports. Maryville has been a leader, has been a champion among NACE schools in a host of video games, franchises. And it is marketing this extremely well. And this is an example of their esports lounge at Maryville University. So you can see where, for these schools, it's a chance to position themselves ahead of the competition or in ways that haven't been done. This is Butler University in Indiana. Again, let's provide a facility that is top-notch and education to match. Adrian College in Adrian, Michigan. I've never heard of it. And I've been in academics for 50 years, all right? But look what they've done. You've got to applaud the realization that this is something that's of value and of importance. And here's Miami University of Ohio. I mean, one of the things you find is Ohio as a state is very, very dedicated to esports. They have an incredible Ohio high school esports league and all that, okay? And then this is University of Utah. Let's face it, if Boise State University in Idaho is going to go big time, Utah is going to go big time. And here's the Utah Utes team and staff for esports. Maybe you can imagine yourself doing something like that. Here's another school that was ranked as one of the best for esports in the country, Illinois Wesleyan in Bloomington, Illinois. The school enrollment is 1,893. All right? Big things can happen in little packages. And that's what we're trying to do at Florida Southern. We're trying to establish Florida Southern as the esports school in the state of Florida. Okay? This is Northern Illinois University. And one of the things that you got to give them credit for marketing-wise is they're putting women up front. Let's go to a school I know well, Grand Canyon University in Phoenix, Arizona. I have visited here many times, and the thing about Grand Canyon University from a business perspective is I met with the president of Grand Canyon University, who was also the president of the University of Phoenix, okay? University of Phoenix, the first real online university. And when I said, look at these facilities at GCU, and yet GCU is not a powerhouse, a collegiate powerhouse in esports, and the president said, we've done this for the students. The students have said they love to play video games, that It's a form of release, of exercise, of relaxation, of honing my skills, of all the reasons that we talked about. And he said, if we never win a national championship, it doesn't bother me at all, so long as we are attending to the needs and the desires of the students. Give them credit, right? And here's another example of Grand Canyon University esports facility. Now, GCU is also presenting itself as a community asset. And so they're in northwestern part of the Valley of the Sun. And their community, frankly, is a more disadvantaged community. But anybody who wants to play video games is welcome at GCU University. And here is you. Here's Florida Southern College. Now, what are you doing that's unique, or what are we doing that's unique and important? We're offering some academic validation for your interest, right? We are offering a minor in esports management that is part of the business school. Hopefully it'll evolve into an esports management degree in and of itself, or an emphasis within business management and sports management. But FSC is very smartly saying, you know what, if we're going to invest in this, we need to invest in the education. I like to think that's one of the reasons they've hired me. And I like to pray that for those of you who take my courses, you realize that you're getting a pretty good education here. I mean, I've been doing this for a while. Okay, enough pandering, Don, enough pandering, okay? Now, initiatives and trends. Historically Black colleges and universities. It's been noticed that they have been lagging behind in esports. And as a result, we find more and more smartly, and it's taken too long for there to be an emphasis on generating esports at historically Black colleges and universities. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing here that, at this one HBC college, Benedict College, launching an esports club and highlighting those individuals that are part of this initiative. And there's more and more of this that has to be done and is being done. And you have to give Benedict College credit, because look, Dr. Rosalind Clark Artis, president and CEO, is behind it. So from the top down, you could say it's a trickle down that says, look, there's no reason why we have to be behind in terms of this new fledgling college and university sport. We need to lead esports among historically Black colleges and universities. Okay. Now, how pervasive is esports? You're looking at the National Junior College Athletic Association, which has created its own esports division. Now, if you're a four-year college and university and you're looking to matriculate students who are good in esports, but you realize that there's more pushback nowadays about going into debt, which is why many, many young people are going to junior college or community college. Where do you as a four-year college want to look for recruitment? To the National Junior College Athletic Association esports. Get it? This ain't rocket science. All right, it's very smart. So it's like, okay, you've got your core requirements out of the way. I now want you to come to Florida Southern College to get your four-year degree and join us on esports. It trickles down even more to one of the biggest, in fact, the biggest growing segment in North America, high school esports. Since 2018, when the National Federation of State High School Associations first recognized esports as an official sport, more than 8,600 high schools have started video game programs as of September 16th, 2021. Now, they do a bit more of a hard sell when it comes to mom and dad, okay? So here, the Varsity Esports Foundation, your kids already play video games, why not make it productive? And they are now offering free courses for parents so that parents can learn about what are these games, what is all this, why does your school have an esports program, and if not, how do we start one? Here's the fun facts, okay? Notice, esports gamers have a 10% increase in attendance and a 1.7 GPA growth, okay? Esports are now a way to get into colleges to be accepted. $20 million, as I said before, in scholarships. 97% of teens already play video games, and 82% of high school esports league members, very important, have never participated in extracurricular activities. High school esports are growing. Here's an example of high school esports league. I can tell you any college worth its salt in terms of marketing, and especially if it's tuition driven, wants to follow who these kids are and how good are they and what are their academic interests. Because if there are some science majors here or creative arts majors here, and we're offering that as a college and university, take advantage of that, okay? Because again, 97% of teens play video games, all right? And we're working on the remaining 3%, okay? And again, we show here where there is value to be accrued. Now let's talk a little bit about race, okay? Since 2018, where the National Federation of State High School Association first recognized high schools, we said this, 8,600 high schools are there. What are they in terms of race, ethnicity, diversity, okay? What we find, interestingly enough, that among all fans, 48% are white. That's a minority. It's a majority, but it's less than 50%, okay? 19% are African-American among all fans of esports. 23% are Hispanic. 10% are other. Now, among avid fans, the white component drops even more. The African-American component increases 22%, which makes you go back and say, why is it taking so long for historically Black colleges and universities to move into esports? We're finding 21% of avid esports fans are Hispanic, 12% are other. Other to me has got to be everything from Asian American to Native American to identify as something other. But we can see here that diversity already exists among esports fans. We focus so much on 75%, 80% are males. But what is the ethnic and diversity component of those males? The same with the females. So this is something that from a business perspective, we need to take a look at. So, again, many teens already are making money. They're streamers. They're getting donations. Maybe they're getting subscriptions. Maybe they're getting ad revenue by streaming their play online, like via Twitch or YouTube gaming. If that's the case, if I'm a college or university, I'm there saying, guess what? You can matriculate at my college and university, and you are not forfeiting in any way the donation, subscription, and ad revenue that you're making on your own. Because I'm a member of NACE, and NACE forbids me to do that. Wow, let's promote this, okay? Now, what games do they play in U.S. high schools? It probably won't surprise you because you recently were in high school. Yeah, we're playing Minecraft, but we're also playing Rocket League, LOL, Fortnite, CSGO. We're playing chess, Valorant, Brawlhalla, Rainbow Six, and Halo Infinite. So the diversity is there in terms of the games. And when you take a look at the high school esports league, which exists as a governing body, again, based in Kansas City, just like the NACE is, you can see that it is a complete North American dynamic. And that's why the opportunity for, the Varsity Esports Federation is just tremendous. So what's the bottom line? The demand for talent is growing throughout colleges and universities. Half the players in the LCS, North America's Professional League of Legends League, are foreign. And there would likely be more where there are not rules in place to prevent teams from fielding all foreign rosters. Despite importing so many players, the LCS has struggled to compete consistently on the international stage, leading many to question whether an investment into training domestic talent would be more valuable. This is one of those elephants in the room that nobody talks about. So when we're looking at the LCS, when we're looking at those professional teams that are American, right? Even those American teams are comprised a great deal of foreign talent. And the American teams fail to do consistently all that well in these international tournaments, which begs the question, shouldn't we be growing more homegrown talent? Now, with so many imports and older players, as well as a drought of rookie talent, LCS teams need to start recruiting players with experience from the high school and collegiate levels. Colleges and other bodies have begun to host combines. Remember combines? Similar to the NBA, to determine the best high school esports talent. Some of those students at these combines will receive scholarships. Others will be recruited straight into the pros. Now, thanks to the digital nature of esports, data can be immediately stored and tracked as these players compete, letting students from anywhere in the country prove their worth to talent scouts. Riot Games has started an annual scouting grounds for their teams to recruit top unsigned talent. So we can see here that high schools are prime to provide the young people and even the coaches and all that for these colleges and universities and for these professional teams, while at the same time providing this sense of community, teamwork skills, and leadership. So high school esports are become a fertile scouting ground. So if we look at the High School Esports League in its full major of 2022, it had 12 weeks, 9 games. It offers various quests and prizes all season long, and it held regional, state, and national titles with the trophies and scholarships. So you can see where the High School Esports League becomes very important and has teamed up with the Varsity Esports Foundation to promote high school esports for all these reasons. There's also another organization called the North American Scholastic Esports Federation, which is designed to promote curriculum that directly comes out of video gaming, primarily esports. And they do this through the High School Esports League and a variety of foundations. Here in Pennsylvania, there's one called the Emerald Foundation, which is primarily Eastern PA, and they are focusing very much on this. Now, for those of you who are thinking of academics, at least 50% of students in the US fall into the category of high poverty and mid-high poverty. All right, they come from low-income areas where STEM learning has been challenged, okay? We already see that high schools have shown an increase in GPA by 1.7, attendance by 10%. So it really behooves high schools, especially those that are in places with high poverty, with any level of poverty, to branch out into video gaming and esports with a focus by its teachers and its coaches for the STEM and STEAM aspects of such. Now, let me point to a failure, to something that was well-intentioned but that went wrong. And that's the saga of Riot and PlayVS. You'll notice we started this by talking about the saga of TESPA and Blizzard. So what we're finding here is the evolution of esports. There are ups and there are downs. So let's look at this thing called PlayVS. Announcement. PlayVS has signed a new multi-year partnership with Riot Games to become the exclusive organizer of high school League of Legends competitions in the US. The partnership expands on Riot Games' existing partnership with PlayVS, which saw the company host League of Legends high school events in 18 states last year. Now, PlayVS has raised more than $96 million in funding since its founding in 2018, including an investment from the Los Angeles Dodgers. In addition to League of Legends, the PlayVS management platform supports games such as Fortnite, Rocket League, and Smite. Now, on the surface, this looks like, wow, this can't go wrong. I mean, Play Versus has signed a multi-year partnership with Riot Games. All right. It's going to become the exclusive high school organizer of LOL. But something that should raise a little caution to you is Play Versus has raised $96 million in funding since 2018. Huh? Now, where did things go wrong? Play Versus participation fee for each student was $64 a season. Now, they were very generous. They said this can be paid by the student, the sponsors, or directly covered by the school. And in return for that, we're going to provide onboarding and IT support, player and team management, schedules, stats, game days, all in one platform. And not only that, but Player versus Fortnite revealed a total prize pool of $40,000 for the 2022 competition. And there are 3 distinct high school tournaments. Now, those of you who are business majors, we want to go back to this. They've raised $96 million in funding, okay? They're charging $64 for each student per season in each individual team. Now, they're going to provide these things, but $40,000? $40,000 is the prize pool for Fortnite? Guess what happened? Riot canceled its involvement with Play Versus, okay? It realized that the structure of Play Versus was actually turning off high schools from participating. Here in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Esports Association stopped hosting League of Legends statewide high school tournaments precisely because of pushback and resistance to this $64 per player fee. Riot ended up partnering with the wrong individuals and with the wrong company, and that company had what in drama we call hubris, pride. It started to think that they were the be-all and end-all, and as a result, it led to the demise. Now, I want you to work in esports. Hitmaker is the largest gaming and esports job platform in the world. Now, it works with the NASIF primarily, all right? And it's STEM-based, and it signed an agreement that aims to positively impact the lives and career education of youth in Canada, Mexico, and USA. So Hitmaker is looking for individuals that love esports, but that love education, okay? Hitmaker has got a site, how to get a job in esports, supported by the University of California, Irvine Division of Continuing Education, and that's because UCI was the founder of the North American Scholastic Esports Federation. See the tie-in? I love it, okay? If you are interested in a job in esports, how to get a job in esports in 2023, these are all the forums that have opportunities for you. Everything from Reckitt to esports industry here, we're hiring, and to blackcollege.com, it's all there. So if you are interested in this, the jobs are available. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed week 5, and I look forward to seeing the week 4 submissions and joining you on discussion. Thank you and goodbye.